Welcome to week 9, everybody. I cannot believe it, but we were well over halfway done. Those deadlines are barreling towards us at breakneck speeds. As of the recording of this video, there still was no word on whether or not they were going to be extending deadlines. And this late in the game, I'm going to say, no, they're not going to be doing that. I was a little bit on the fence about that earlier this year, given that they opened electronic filing up so late, but I don't think it's going to happen this year. So make sure you're on top of everything and that you're getting your tax information to your tax preparers with plenty of time for them to turn it around for you. Today, we're going to be talking about dues and subscriptions. This is not going to be a long video because it's really not rocket science. It's not too complicated, but I want to start with the definition of what a dues and subscriptions expense is. And it is a membership or a subscription to a trade or professional organization or publication. All right, so example, me as a CPA, I actually have memberships to 2 different organizations that support my firm, support my CPA license, provide continuing education opportunities, and a whole host of other resources that I find very useful, to include professional publications like the Journal of Accountancy. And those are the American Institute of CPAs, also known as the AICPA, and the Virginia Society of CPAs, also known as the VSCPA. So those are true dues and subscriptions expenses because they are for my professional licensing and support of that firm and that professional vocation. Okay. Now, we do have some other subscriptions that we pay for. For example, we have magazines that we do order that we have in our lounge. And this is kind of a new thing for us because of COVID. So now when people come in to do their taxes, instead of us all going into a little conference room together where we're all very close together while I do their taxes, I actually keep them in the lounge or the waiting room while I take it to my office and get all of that paperwork done. And in the meantime, they're left there waiting. And, for many of them, they have their cell phones to keep them busy or their tablets. But then I find a lot of them get bored with those and then want to go ahead and check out the magazines we have for them. It is a legitimate expense. It's just not a dues and subscriptions expense because it doesn't actually apply to either my profession or Nicole's profession as a CMA. So that's one of the things that I use in determining whether or not it's a dues and subscription. Does it support our licenses? It may be a slightly different question for you if, and I'm always willing to talk it out with you if you're having a hard time determining. So other professions that I see a lot of this are, for example, in the medical field, chiropractors, family practitioners, dentists. They have medical journals and all kinds of other little things that help them stay on top of their game in terms of their profession. They need to be in the know on the latest and greatest and all of the changes being made in the industry. I'm sure there's lots of information going out right now with COVID and everything happening. Now, that is a legitimate dues and subscriptions expense. However, the Highlights magazine in their waiting room for the kids, that's a different expense altogether. And then, of course, you've got real estate professionals as well. It's just one other example I see often. There are a couple of memberships in our local area that I see happen. And one of them is for something called Hurrah. It's the Hampton Roads Realtors Association. And then we also have REIN, REIN. And I actually class those two things very differently. So for Hurrah, that is a true professional organization that I do code to dues and subscriptions. However, REIN in this case is more about marketing so that they can sell these houses. So I am actually coding that to marketing and advertising. It's not as much as of a professional membership in that it's really not doing anything to provide you resources to sustain your licensing. It's really to help you sell properties. So those are the kinds of things I'm looking at. If you're not sure whether something you're paying is a dues and subscription expense or something else, if deductible at all, I'm more than happy to talk it through with you. Give me a call. My contact information is always on the back of end of these videos. And of course, you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So hopefully we'll see you all next week when I will be talking about cell phones. Cell phones is an area where I see people do the wrong thing constantly. So that's going to be a great video for us next week. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.